Titleist has just released for 2025 the updated versions of the Pro V1 and the Pro V1x, the most played balls in golf, which means this video, which is going to explain all the different features and benefits of the 2025 version and how they're different from the 2023 Pro V1 and Pro V1x, this video might be one of the most important ones you see all year. So when I say to you that the Pro V1 and the Pro V1x are the most played balls in golf, when you break down the numbers, it actually gets pretty staggering. On any given week on the PGA Tour, while the number may fluctuate a little bit, about 70% of the players in the field will be using either a Pro V1 or a Pro V1x. And when you get into other elite tours, the numbers go nothing but higher. On the DP World Tour, it goes up to 74%. On the LPGA, we're talking 76%. There were 79% of the players in the field at the US Junior Amateur who used either a Pro V1 or Pro V1x, 84% at the US Am and the US Women's Am, and 89% at the NCAA Men's Division I Championship. 92% of the players in the field at the NCAA Women's Championship used either a Pro V1 or a Pro V1x. So as you can see, among elite players, the Titleist Pro V1 and the Pro V1x are dominant. So understanding those numbers, if you're looking for radical changes, or if you think that Titleist might all of a sudden come out with a completely different golf ball when it comes to Pro V1 for 2025, you'd be absolutely wrong. That is pretty much the definition of golden handcuffs. If anything, Titleist is looking to refine and hone, to fine tune Pro V1 and Pro V1x, not make radical changes, because at the elite level, there's certainly just too many players who really like and prefer and use Pro V1 and Pro V1x. And the numbers at retail have remained really strong as well. So there's not a lot of motivation for Titleist to make big changes to Pro V1 and Pro V1x. Okay, so knowing that, let me explain to you what Titleist is attempting to do, or what the goals were for the 25 Pro V1 and Pro V1x. Off the tee, the Pro V1 and Pro V1x for 2025 are going to behave very similar to the 2023 version. There's not going to be a big change in terms of ball speed, spin rate, launch angle. The biggest change is going to be from the fairway with your irons. Titleist tried to go ahead and increase the spin that players are going to get with their irons, while at the same time maintaining, again, the elite levels of spin that players are going to get around the greens and on approach shots. Now, why would Titleist go ahead and do that? Well, a lot of players, both at the elite level as well as at recreational level, are playing with lower and lower spin products. Drivers are low spin. We're seeing lower spin and stronger lofted irons being put into play. You're getting these hollow body construction, very fast, better player distance irons. Everything for the most part is low spin. And what happens with that is that for elite players, if you've got low spin products and a low spin ball, then it gets very challenging and very difficult to work the ball around the golf course, to hit draws and fades, to be able to hit shots higher on command. Generally speaking, the more spin that a really good player has at their disposal with their golf ball, the better. It's easier to take spin off of a golf ball than to really try and goose it and add a lot of spin, which is why many elite players go with a more spinny golf ball than I think a lot of people understand. For recreational golfers, again, spin can mean lift, especially when you get to moderate and lower clubhead speed players. You need to have enough spin to get lift to maximize out your carry distance. If your golf ball doesn't spin very much, and unfortunately, if you're not fit into proper equipment, especially with your irons, you end up hitting these lower trajectory shots that come off hot, but then they won't stop. For more lift, that is going to create a steeper angle of descent, and that spin characteristic is going to end up with better distance control for recreational players. So as you can see, finding the right blend of spin to match your swing, to match the equipment you use and the demands that you're going to have, that's critical. And Titleist felt that it really wasn't doing that as well as it could. It was listening to players, and what they were asking for is more spin with the irons. So with the 2025 Pro V1 and Pro V1x, that's what Titleist is trying to deliver. So let's get into the golf balls themselves. The Pro V1 for 2025 is still going to be a three-piece construction. You can see there's a very large rubber core surrounded by a casing layer or a mantle layer, and then a very thin cast urethane cover on the outside. Now, Titleist doesn't really talk a lot about compression. It's one of the things that the brand actually shies away from. But this is going to be a slightly firmer Pro V1 than the 2023 Pro V1. So you're going to feel that just a little bit if you do a side-to-side comparison. And that's something that I would strongly encourage you to do. That is going to be one of the keys to being able to get more spin from the iron. By making the gradient core here just a little bit firmer on the outside. And by gradient core, I mean that the inner portion of the core is going to be soft, and as you move to the outer portions of the perimeter of the core, the golf ball gets firmer, by making it a little bit firmer towards the outside, you're able to get a little bit more spin with the irons than you did with the 2023 version. Now, if we move to the 4-piece Pro V1X, you again have now a dual core system. You can see there's a large inner core, and then that's encased in an outer core. It's very rare. We don't see a lot of 2-core systems in golf balls, but Pro V1X is going to be one of them. Those 2 layers then have another casing layer or a mantle layer around them. And then the 4th piece is going to be, again, the cast urethane cover that's going to help to provide a lot more greenside spin. This ball, again, slightly firmer than its predecessor, the 23 Pro V1X. This ball is going to give you, again, more spin with the irons, and that is by design. Now, when you compare these 2 golf balls against each other, Pro V1 has a lower compression, is going to feel softer, is going to fly a little bit lower, is going to spin a little bit less than Pro V1X. Pro V1X flies a little bit higher, feels a little bit firmer, spins more everywhere. So in greenside spin, Pro V1X is going to spin more than Pro V1. From the fairway with your irons, Pro V1X will create a little bit more spin, create a little bit higher launch because of that. We'll have that firmer feel, and again, off the tee, Pro V1X is going to go a little bit higher and be a little bit spinnier. According to Titleist, they're both going to go about the same distance, but they're going to get there in a little bit different manner. The Pro V1 is going to have a slightly lower trajectory, so you're going to get a little bit more roll in the fairway with Pro V1. Pro V1X is going to have a little bit more carry distance, but because the ball is going to come down a little bit steeper, again, it goes higher, you're going to get a little less carry. So the balls are going to go, according to Titleist, virtually the same distance. It's just you're going to get more roll and a lower flight with Pro V1, a little less roll, but more carry distance with Pro V1X.